Okay, so I'm early. This does not need to be recording.
Well, good morning to those who have joined me so far. You score points because you're like really early. Andre, I saw your lips are moving, but I'm not hearing anything. No. Well, it gets a little piece of it, but not much.
Does that help? All right.
Sorry about that. I get pulled away every now and then. Only once we get started, there's no pulling away. How's everybody else? Do we have microphones at work? We know we got Andre. It sounded like we got it going there.
Good. How are you?
Awesome. That's Jacob.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, you got a camera on yours?
I do not. I'm on my desktop.
Okay. We'll slowly get everybody in, but yeah, if we've got cameras, we're gonna want them on. It's a lot easier for me to be able to teach and coach when I can see faces. We've got some free time. What's been going on out there with you guys? We'll talk. Andre, it's still breaking up a little bit. It's just I couldn't even mimic it. We can tell you're there and I can tell you're talking, but it has no clarity at all. And you know, when the weather gets like this is where we've got to control, because in real estate, we have the option and we can go out and play because we've been given that option. But of course, if we go out and play, we make no money. Good. Been out door knocking. What kind of success? Not a bad odds. Any leads that came from it? No one yet. Remind me, we'll talk about a fun script for that one. It's fun and it creates conversation. And I'll tell you that anytime I've gone out, great results. How long did it take you, by the way, with 19 doors? That was about 3 hours. Wow. Longer than I expected. Still not bad. Dan, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Fantastic.
Glad to
Fantastic.
hear.
Dylan, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. By the way, Dan is out of our Belleville location. Dylan, which office are you in?
Belleville as well.
Belleville is also, all right. Andre, how about you? Andre's not good with the microphone today. It gives you the wah-wah kind of thing. Port Huron office, fantastic. Alexa, or Alexis, sorry, I will correct that quickly. Alexis, matter of fact, guys, jump in and share with us a little bit about which office you're with.
I'm out of the Lapeer office.
Okay, awesome. And Jacob doesn't have a camera, but everybody else, you got a camera. Go ahead and get that camera on. Again, it makes a difference for me and everyone when we can actually see faces. So let's go ahead and pull those up, and because we're going to get started. I'm showing 10 o'clock.
Watching people.
We're going to grow on this. So Ursula, go ahead.
I'm out of the Troy office, Town and Country.
Awesome. Awesome. Welcome. Who else is going to jump in there? Courtney, good to see your face. You can talk to us.
Yeah. Hi, I'm from Midland office.
Excellent. Awesome. How about Liz, Jason, Tawana? I know some of
Good
you.
morning. This is
Sure.
Jason from the Morris office.
Awesome. Awesome. How many of you are actually coming in from by the way, look at when I do this, a real job. Otherwise, your dual career, you're doing real estate plus.
Real.
Tijuana.
Okay. All right.
I'm from the Troy office.
Great. Okay. Awesome. So Tijuana, we'll watch. I know you're working. We're just glad to have you then.
Okay.
All right. And we got a couple of managers on with us also. So I believe this is going to grow as we go. There's Jennifer. Jennifer is our Clinton Township office. Alexis.
Thank you.
Hey, my
Help us out. Which office is yours?
Lapeer office.
Lapeer. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
My daughter might be joining us for a second. She would not lay down for a nap. That's what I was trying to do real quick, but now she's like freaking out. So, but she's good. I'll make sure to not I'll mute myself so that way she's not making a fuss.
All right. No problem.
All right, I'm gonna go grab her.
Guys, we're going to get started with who we've got present here. And let me just let you know, as we move along, this is going to expand. We have far more people who are in the Mentee Mentor program and whose production is not where they want it, nor is it where, guys, if you will, when you came on, we kind of made a promise to you. And at the same point, you guys said, here's where I want to be, which is part of why we said, let's work with each other. Let's join forces and grow our businesses together. Let me grab this because I think it's Brenda. Some of you know. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Cameron. I'm putting in the code, the passcode, and I'm not able to connect.
Okay, I'm going to try to multitask and see if I can get that to you again then.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye. What I thought, she's struggling with getting in. So again, it's taken a while for me to get to the point where I actually had the time to be able to do this. Hey, James or Deb, do you have the email you could forward that to Brenda with the passcode and the link? Could you do that for me? Thank you, James.
No problem, Darwin.
So this is an effort for me as part of the senior leadership and with the position that I hold to help us as a company live up to that promise that we've brought forward to you guys. Okay. What I want to do then is have some fierce bi-weekly coaching sessions to help you move to productivity quicker, to the level that you want to be at, or, and don't take this wrong, or to help you out of the business quicker. Okay, if that makes sense, here's what I'd like for all of you as mentees to do. Type in very quickly how much money you got in this business to make. Okay, that should have been something that we as a manager knew coming into this. So type that in. I need everybody to do that because I'm going to be able to refer back to this. So if you're one of the Mentee agents, I want you to type that in. Andre, great. Awesome. Dylan, clarify for me. Not a minimum. How much do you want to make? Now, the rest of you, that concerns me a little bit because it's taken a little bit of time for you to be able to put that in, which means more often than not, you're either occupied, which I know some of you might be. And great, I'm seeing the numbers now. I want to make sure everybody's got it in there. Be my last salary, great. You know, again, let me do some more, Jennifer. I'm going to pick on you for just a second. Beat my last salary, but just like what I asked Dylan, but how much do you want to make? So not just, I want to beat it, but how much do you want to make? Because remember this, if it was a salary and a real job, and all I mean by a real job is we had to show up at a particular day at a particular time, work for a particular amount of time, do certain things, meeting certain expectations. And if we did all of that, we get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, right? Okay. So that's what we have to take a look at. So as you're putting these in there, Tijuana, by the way, am I saying it right? It's Tijuana, or is it like Tijuana?
It's Tijuana.
All right. So Tijuana, you're working another job.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yes. I'm assuming you want to leave that other job?
Yes, as soon as possible.
Okay. Thus the 100K a year. Jason, I love it. 150. 75. Alexis, 30 for the first year. Alexis, talk to me a little bit about why 30.
It's 30 because right now I have my daughter like all the time. It's been hard for me to get out. Like my mom used to watch her, but she just got a job, so I haven't been able to make it into the office. So everything I've been just kind of like doing at home on my own, you know. So that's been harder, yeah.
Absolutely, it's perfect. It's one of the beauties of real estate.
Hey,
So
Darwin, can I
Yes, go
piggyback
ahead.
off that? I mean, that's where I'm at as well. I'm part-time
Okay.
because I have, like, Alexis, if your toddler doesn't come in the screen, mine's gonna come like a tornado any second.
Right,
So,
yeah, she's on my lap.
so yeah, it's 2 days a week in the office until I hit a certain point where I want to put her in full-time care, and then I can really move on.
Awesome. That's perfect. And see, that's the beauty of real estate. We can have anything that we want, and we can do it within the time that we want. If you joined us for the lunch and learn yesterday, it was interesting to hear from the group that we had on there and when their days started. You'll also heard the number of hours that they were having to put into it. We didn't have young mothers, however, so I would call those great excuses. And absolutely, and more than likely, one of the primary reasons we're doing real estate, right? We'll put it, it's our why. So we do plan around that. So when I said yesterday, it's about him, then our family, then our career. And it's through that is how we plan, and that's perfect. The key to what we want then is we need to know that number. We need to know what we're going to make. But more importantly, we need to know why. You see, it's not the number. Otherwise, let's take Dylan. I think you had 100 on here. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. So Dylan, you want to make 100,000, and I'll give you a little scenario to this. Dylan, you worked hard. You do everything that you had to do. You made $100,000 the next 12 months. Okay. Kind of picture that in your hands. It's a nice pile of $100, $1,000 bills, right? That's what you made. It's sitting there. It's all bundled up, nice, fresh, clean $100 bills. Feels good, right?
Yep.
Yep. But you can't spend it. You with me? So everybody
Unfortunately.
picture their own, but you can't spend it. How hard are you going to work the next 12 months to make at least that, if not more, that you cannot spend?
There's no incentive there. If I can't spend it, then you know.
And you hit it. You hit the key, guys. So here's the thing. It's not the cash that we're looking for. It's what we're going to do when we get it. So the next part that we have to make sure that we've got is the 100 dreams. Now look, if it was 50 dreams, that's better than none. So in Speedboard, one of your tasks were to do the 100 dreams, the dream sheets. So this is group participation time. And again, if you can, I want you on camera. I know some of you are actually calling in from work, but if you can, I want you to just put up a hand real quick. You got the 100 dreams. Who's got them? Hold them up there. Okay. If you don't have that, here you go. Every day you've been given the option of doing what you need to do to make the amount of money that you want to make. Problem is the things that we need to do, we don't want to do. Right? We do the things that we need to do, we'll get what we want. But if we have no motivation, no incentive to do it, why would we do what we don't want to do when there's all the options of things we would rather do? Okay, when I poke fun at having a real job, there's really a serious message behind that too, because if you had a real job, there is no option. You either show up and you do what you are required to do through your job description, or we don't do it. And if we don't do it, we get no income. If we get no income, we know the end result. Well, the same thing applies in real estate. It's just we've been given the option. It takes us 6 to 9 months to figure out we have no income. And then what do? That's when we leave the business. So it's because of that that you now got an idea as to what I was referring to when we talk about the why, the real job. It's the reason we want to jump on and do what we're doing. Okay. So here's the next thing I need everyone to do. If you are one of the mentees, I want you to type in whether or not you have a business plan, just yes or no. Just yes or no. I have a business plan. And by the way, this is not like true confessions. This is me, your mentor, your manager. Okay, and you can see some of the stuff. So I talked very quickly with a couple of new agents yesterday in Fenton. And part of what they were running into is they're full-time agents and they got zero. And I know we've got people on here that, in essence, We're full-time people, we've got 0. Our goal this is our goal, that you have a signed contract, which basically means you've got a signed listing with a buyer or a signed listing with a seller. When I say a signed listing with a buyer, I'm talking a buyer representation contract. I look at them as an equivalent, be it a listing agreement or a buyer representation contract. To me, they're one and the same. If we've qualified them, that's putting money in the bank. It's just the whole process has got to work. Okay. So if we don't have a business plan, that would be like me taking Jacob as an example. I take Jacob, I give him a job. I don't tell him when to show up. I don't tell him how many hours to work. I don't tell him what he needs to do. I don't tell him how he needs to do it. Are you with me? You already get an idea. Would anybody want to do that to somebody who you would employ in any career? Yet, if we don't have a business plan, we, the employer, have given us, we, the employee, no job description. We didn't tell them when to show up. We didn't tell them how many hours to work. We didn't tell them when to work till. We didn't tell them what to do. They don't even know what the expectation would be to be able to meet what it is that they're going to be compensated for, because we've never told them. Guys, that's what we've done to ourselves if we don't have that business plan. Now, I'm doing this because we all know that when you point, there's those fingers pointing back to the real source. I'm not going to point at you guys because it's not just your responsibility. And this is part of why we're doing this. I need to identify, whereas managers, whereas mentors, we've not helped you. We cannot be responsible for your failure. We should be responsible for your success in working together with you, or we should help you realize you don't want to do what's necessary to make it in this business. And again, either one is okay, but we just need to be able to put that in the proper perspective. All right. So I mentioned that we were going to have some fierce conversations, and that's what this is all about. I want to take you where you want to go, because when you hired on, you met a minimum standard of what we were looking for to have you become part of the team. Make sense? Head nods. All right. And by the way, again, if you can, I want to see faces. If you're a manager, I get it. We're going to be multitasking. But if you're on here as a mentee, I want to see faces. Now, hopefully you can see my board. If not, up in the right-hand corner, you should be able to click, and upper right-hand corner, you can put speaker view, and that'll make this a little bit more obvious. So first one we did, and here's the bottom line. We need to know that we've got a business plan, because here's the next part to it. It's from that we can actually then determine the amount of money that we want to make. So if you will, start with 100 dreams, then the business plan, because that is with the 100 dreams, how much do I have to make? Once I have how much I need to make, I can determine the number of sides I need to close. When I know the number of sides I need to close, I can break that down to a monthly basis as to what I need to close. I can break that down to how many appointments I need to be on a weekly basis. I can break that down to the number of calls I should be making on a daily basis. And now I know whether or not I've truly met what my job description is. So when I call it a day, I now know whether or not I can keep myself employed. Does that make sense? Okay. So the next thing I want you to do for me, blocked calendar. Have you blocked your calendar out? So some of you saw that yesterday, and Dawn Connors, I love, she said, can I screen share? Absolutely. Because then you saw what her blocked calendar looks like. I mean, as she put it, if I have a window open, I'm not productive. She needs to know specifically what she's doing. So if you're going, what is time blocking? Well, again, the way I put it, start out with based upon what's important in life. And again, to me, it's him, then my family, then my career. You have to have the health in there, but it might be that you look at it and you go, well, I got to have my health to have a career. Well, once I have all of that, I start time blocking. My calendar, the first thing I put in as an example would be, I do church every Sunday and it's in, I've got to be there no later than 10:30. I'm there until 12:30. That's in every Sunday. If you looked at my calendar, I don't know how long it actually goes out, but it won't end until I die and somebody stops. Okay. The next thing that goes in is family. So if you're a very busy agent, I would tell you that you need to time block family time. Yesterday, Dawn gave the example that, I don't, thinking about this, guys, I don't know if everybody actually heard. Her real estate day, now this is Dawn Connors, did 60 transactions last year, 22 million in sales. Her real estate day doesn't start until about 11. Yeah, figure that one out. And the reason being is she's got the family stuff, and then she does the gym, and then her real estate day starts. And by the way, 2 of those hours between 11 and 3, I think it was her prospecting time, her call time, when she's out talking to people. Then she takes the time off and she doesn't start again, I think, until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, works until 9. She's up at 5 a.m. So we've got to adjust to what we're able to do, but I need you to put that in there. Do you have a blocked calendar or not? Yes or no? Blocked calendar, yes or no? Put that into the chat.
Darwin, can I add a little comment?
Yes, Caroline, please.
Hey, so when it comes down to the call time, I also have children of all different ages. And so their schedule has to take precedent over my work schedule, usually. So the biggest thing when I joined coaching with Alex, the biggest, hardest thing for me is blocking that 2 hours at a time, because I don't have 2 hours at a time. I can't sit down for 2 hours at a time because I always have a 2-year-old attached to my hip. He does not allow me to make phone calls 2 hours at a time. So when I do my calling and reaching out to clients for the prospecting part, I break it down into 10 or 15-minute intervals. So I know that every day at 3 o'clock, I'm in a pickup line, picking my kids up from school where he's not screaming. And I can make my calls from 3 to 3:30 while I'm sitting in the pickup line waiting for one of the schools for my kids to pick up. So it's just look at your day, do the time blocking, and find those little bits. It doesn't have to be at 2 hours at a time, but find the bits to add up. So I do 10.
I love that, Caroline. Thank you for jumping in on that. So if you haven't done it, guys, basically, excuse me, block out your work day. Okay. And look, if we're a real estate mom, block it out. That it can vary throughout the day, but I'm going to go from here to here, and at a certain point, I need to be done. And I don't take any more calls. Alex coaches everybody to have a shut-off time. Stephanie was the one who embraced this fully, and at 7 o'clock, it's done. It's on her voicemail. If you're calling me before or after 7 o'clock, Please know that I'll return your call tomorrow. And she's done. It's up to her to decide whether or not she'll want to call somebody back, whether or not she'll even want to listen to it. But they know that that's the expectation because she set that in place. So, we got pretty much most of you. Here's the next part. Your sphere of influence is the rock upon which you build your business. I don't care who you are, where you're from, how long you've lived where you are, whether or not you have 10 people that you know, or whether or not you have 2,000 people that you know. It is the rock upon which you build your business. So if we take a look at our production, and if we're looking at a 0, and by the way, again, this is me just calling out what's known, and you know your numbers right now. But if you're anywhere with 1 or 2, you're not going where you want to be. Almost always it starts because 1, we don't have the proper size sphere of influence. Now, if it's because you just moved here and you only know 10 people where you're living at, where you're doing business, that's fair. What must you do? You got to take it from 10 to 300. You got to take it from 300 to 400. You got to go from 400 to 500. To whatever level you want to be able to do your business. So do you have, no, matter of fact, let's do this. SOI, short for sphere of influence. I want you to type in how many you actually have in a database sphere of influence. And Beth Ann, I love that you know it to that number. Courtney, same thing. Great. That tells me it's in there. I'll even take 110-ish. Excellent. Keep going. I'm waiting. By the way, if you don't know the number, give me the 110-ish, the 200-ish, the 100-ish. I'm liking the numbers. I'm not loving the numbers. So Caroline hit a key part for all of us here in the chat. She says your sphere is always bigger than you think it is. So here's the way we've got to take a look at our sphere. So number 1, sphere of influence. If somebody comes to mind, they're part of your sphere of influence. Okay? If there was someone who came to mind, they're part of your sphere of influence. Number of you know my story about using Melissa at Taco Bell. And if I got a license at the time period, because as much as I used to eat at Taco Bell, Melissa and I would talk like we'd known each other forever. And all I knew was her first name was Melissa. She took my order at Taco Bell. But Melissa was part of my sphere of influence. I didn't have anything more than Melissa at Taco Bell. But she has to go on the list because I have a relationship. And as somebody put it, I'm growing my list. I don't have all of the information. That's all right. Put the name in there. Put Melissa at Taco Bell. Get them in your list because I need to talk to Melissa this next time I go in and get her information. The next time I see Joe on Facebook, I've got to instant message him and create a conversation and gather the rest of his information. I can go into the PRD. Sorry, I should have brought water in with me, you guys. I can go into the PRD and look up their names. And for the most part, rest assured that, yep, that's their address. Now I got to get a phone number. I got to get an email. But I got all that stuff in Facebook. I've got all these people in Twitter. I've got all these people in LinkedIn. So what we need to do, again, 300 is the beginning number, beginning. 300. Well, matter of fact, open up your Facebook account and are the people in there. That is your sphere of influence. Okay. If anybody's been married within the last 5 years, go back to the wedding list. Easiest place for you to start. Matter of fact, you probably already have it in the spreadsheet, right? Open up contacts. How many numbers are in this? Right? Now, here's the next part. Have we talked to all of them that we do have? Everybody do this. If you can do this, do this. But here's what I know is the reality. And guys, how many times have you already heard, gee, Dan, I wish I'd known, we just. And
Yeah.
every one of us have heard that.
Yeah.
Right? And then we get mad at them. We get mad at them because they didn't call us. Well, they didn't know. And we can make ourselves physically ill. How about when you drove home and there was a real estate sign in front of your neighbor's house and you got upset with them and they don't even know you yet? They should, but we'll do the same thing. The reality is when we're doing that, guys, we're getting upset with ourselves, aren't we? Because we didn't take the time to talk to them. If they don't know that we're in real estate, we can't be upset. If we don't talk to them, we can't be upset. You see, I've been in the business for 35 years, and I would lay money that there's a couple of people in here that if we compared our sphere of influence together, we'd know common people. You want to know who's going to get the business from that common sphere of influence? The one who's talking to them the most. That's who's going to get the business from that individual. That's why somebody will list with somebody who's been in the business for a month or two versus listing with somebody who's been in the business for 35 years, who's got the education, the experience. I don't know how else to simplify it. If we aren't talking to people, we're missing out, we're losing, okay? So not just contacting. Otherwise, an email, a letter, a text doesn't count unless if there's engagement, an interaction, a conversation. So we've either got to pick up the phone, we got to talk like this, face to face, nose to nose, toes to toes, or we've got to use the technology, text, the computer, messenger, to engage people in conversation. Okay? So do me this next favor in the chat room. Tell me your first responsibility every day. What should happen above all else every day? All right. Andre, I love it. I was thinking more to the point of real estate. So Courtney nailed it, by the way. Your primary responsibility in real estate every day is to talk to people. Every day we should be in front of someone interviewing for a job, basically, or as a minimum, trying to find interviews. Does that make sense? Every day interview. Every day we should be interviewing for a job, or as a minimum, we should be talking to people to set appointments for interviews. That's the simplicity to it. Now, let me scribble a little bit. If you will, then, I'm going to point this up a little bit so you guys can actually see my head. What we should have is two things. We need to set appointments for interviews. That primary task will take care of all other things. How do we set appointments? How do we get appointments set? We either go to people, we go to them, or we do things like maybe it's an email, maybe it's a post, maybe it's a text, maybe we send out postcards, maybe we use core listing. There's so many things that we could do, but we either go to them or we get them to come to us. It's one of two things. So every day, our first activity within real estate should be income producing activity. We're either active or we're actively passive. We're doing one of two things. If we don't do one of those two things, get out of the business. I don't know everyone that well yet, but I love everybody enough to say, if you aren't going to do that or that, get out of the business. Business won't be handed to you. Business won't come to you unless if people know that you're in the business. And the best way to get it is to go to it. Talk to people. It's the best way. By the way, how much does it cost you to talk to people? Nothing. Matter of fact, being passively active can cost you nothing. But if it's really going to produce for us to get the income that we want, to get us the things that we want, to do the things that we want to do, then we'd have to spend money, which we probably should be doing anyway. So I need you to take a hard look in the mirror and go, am I doing one or the other minimum? Preferably you're doing both. And remember, the office is providing lots of tools for you to be actively passive. Loads of tools. And we're going to be looking at those as we move forward. Okay? Any questions about that basic concept? Because again, it's one of two. If we got one-on-one and I came and I said, hey, Rebecca, how's business? And you gave me a really good answer. And I said, okay, tell me more about that. You go, well, I did a lot of stuff. And I said, but how many deals have you closed? You'd say none. I mean, by the way, Rebecca, have you had any yet? Okay. So Rebecca says, I haven't had any closings. I'd say, no problem. How many contracts have you got signed? Either a listing or an exclusive right to sell agreement. And Rebecca, I love your playing with me here, so we'll keep going. How many of those do you have? None of either one? Okay. I go, ouch. Right? And by the way, there's a lot of us looking at Rebecca and going, yep, that's me. Okay. And then I'd say, well, Rebecca, in this past week, how many appointments have you gone on? And she'd go, well, wait a minute, how long have you been at this? You can take yourself off if you can. 1
I've
month.
only been, yeah, just about
Okay.
a month.
All right. And how many appointments have you been on that 1 month?
I have not been on any.
Okay. Shame on your manager and mentor for letting you be that way. Okay. By the way, I'm sincere about that. Shame on us. So here would be my question. And thank you for participating. If I get too far and you're not comfortable, you let me know. How many in your sphere of influence?
So I had about 150.
Okay.
It's not complete, but I was also wondering if people, I was thinking about like couples, like I have aunts and uncles and things like that. Do you guys consider that too? Okay. That's what I was doing.
On
So
your
that's why I was
list,
a little
it's
bit
going to
lower.
be 150, but the reality is there's one house there that's 149. But we're talking total, absolutely. Okay, so here would be my next question. And by the way, as I'm asking these of Rebecca, I want all of you to look at yourself and answer the same question to yourself. So now you've got 150. Have you actually talked to a conversation back and forth to every person that you have, right? And that's going to be almost every one of us. So here's a clear assignment for all of us. We must talk to everybody that we have so far on our sphere of influence. They want to make money in real estate? The people you know is the rock upon which you build your business. Okay, so go to that. All right, now that's a simple one. It's the base. Now, once you've talked to everyone, who else do we talk to? We've talked to everybody that we know. Now who? By the way, don't downplay the aspect that I'm letting that go already, but you need to talk to everybody in your sphere of influence, a conversation. But now I talk to everybody that I know. Who else do we talk to?
Random people.
Random people.
New people.
Jessica, Rebecca, go ahead. Who would that be?
You mean random people?
Yeah, the random people. Could that be?
The clerk at Myers, the gas station attendant, anybody you come in contact with. It's just easy to strike up a conversation. Hey, I like your shoes. Start a conversation and ask them what they do. It leads you into what you do, and you're able to hand out cards, get information. They might know somebody that's selling or wanting to sell. There's plenty of opportunities out there. You got to look for it.
Yeah, matter of fact, I can tell you the gentleman handed out about 5 boxes of business cards a year, and those were 1,000 in a box, business cards. In the way he did it, he called it his arm's length. If anybody came with an arm's length, there was a business card in front of their face. And that's how he handed out 5,000 business cards every year. It was an arm length. Which line do you go to at the store when you go? I know, the shortest one. Matter of fact, now we're getting to the point where we're not even having a cashier around us, right? If we're really thinking about it, go to the longest line. There's somebody in front of you, somebody behind you, and a cashier that you can talk to. As Darlene Hendricks put it one day in a session where she was a panelist, all I do is to make sure that I talk to 5 people a day, and I'd ask them a real simple question. Who do you know who has the need to buy or sell real estate? And it was that simple. Yeah, I'm going to keep going. We're doing one of 2 things, but the obvious is you need to talk to everybody and then talk to everybody else. So Andre, I wish your mic was working, but Andre went out, knocked on doors one day, took 3 hours, knocked on 19 doors, talked to 9 people. Okay. Why don't we all do that? Well, it's been cold. Look, top producer on the Century 21 side, month of December, month of January, month of February. He's out knocking on doors. Top producer did 20, I think it was 28 million. Top producer. Oh, by the way, it was in Rochester, so you can't tell me that you can't do it in certain places. He's in downtown Rochester, knocking on doors, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes. There is no reason that we can't do it. So when all else is done, we've got to go after it. We've got to go where there is none. So if I made my contacts and I set no appointment, what do I need to do? Make more contacts. Because see, contacts mean nothing if I have no appointments. If I made my contacts and I got my appointments, but I got no listing, no contract signed, buyer or seller, what do I need to do? Set more appointments. How do I set more appointments? I got to go talk to more people. So up until I get contracts signed with sellers who will allow me to list their home, or buyers who will hire me exclusively to represent them, I need to then go back and talk to more people, set more appointments to get contracts signed. Real estate is real simple. It just requires hard work. Okay, so that's where I want us to go to. Got all of that. Wow. So where we're going to go to, I'm going to start putting a little bit more of a plan into place to work with you guys with the things that we need to do. First off, the business plan, it starts with your why, the dream sheets. Hit that first. Then I want you to turn that and put it into a business plan. There's business plans that float around in the offices, and I don't care what it looks like. If you are into the online, or if you are into the oh doggone, on the gold side, 21 online, there is a business plan in there. Matter of fact, 21 online, if you go, it almost forces you to set up all of your goals in the system, and it will create a business plan for you without doing next to anything but putting in a few numbers. So know that that's there if you're on the gold side going into 21 online. Blue squad, I'm going to look at that. For my blue crew, we'll find out. But they do have the same thing in regards to a business plan. Very similar. It's just a matter of what approach that you take to it. So we're going to want you to have that in place. And what we need to be able to do 2 weeks from now is to come in. I got my why. I've shared the dream list with my mentor and my manager. Matter of fact, take these notes, because this is what we should have. Matter of fact, we'll type it in here. No, I don't want that. Michael, I see you. Thanks, buddy. Okay, I'm going to type it in. So, dream sheets is one. Let's see. What else do we want? Well, we want our goals / business plan. Okay. We need to know what our numbers need to be. What do I need to break it down to? How many people should I be talking to on a daily basis? So even for Jen and Alexis, how many is it per day? Knowing that you got to deal with it. So there it is. Alexis already flashed 5. As simple as if 5 people, I got to talk to 5 people. Now, talk to, that's a contact, by the way, defined. A contact is I talked to, had an engaging conversation with 5 people, 10 people. By the way, you'd be surprised the amount of money that you can make with 5 people as we learn really how to sell and what to do with that. So that's going to then address the number of appointments, the number of contacts, just making sure I've got it. And when I say listings, by the way, contract signed with either a buyer or a seller. Either one is what I'm going to refer to as a listing for now. As we grow in the business, that'll go away. But that's what we want to be able to identify to keep it simple, and then just go to town on those things.
Hey, Darwin.
Please go, Caroline. Yep.
Hey, I have a 2-cent thought on that. I've been a realtor for like 15 years. I came to Coldwell Banker about 4 or 5 years ago. And previous to that, I worked at C21, and we never did the dream boards, the dream list, the goal.
You did not do them. Is that what you were saying in the beginning? You got a little bit of breakup, by the way, Caroline. That's why we're coming in here. Well, we're going to let her catch up in regards to her internet. Dan, I love what you threw in there. One of the things that stopped you in regards to making contacts was your why you were calling, right? Not just your why you're doing this business, what's your motivation, but your why you're calling, that reason for calling.
Correct. And I found, and I guess even the past few months, utilizing Zap and Moxie of when I get a listing, I get a closing, or someone in the office gets something to do with real estate, and I have those calls that need to be addressed, like just call people and say, hey, I just had something come on the market. Do you know anybody who wants to buy it? And then you can ask for referrals, and you'd be surprised. You start talking to some people that maybe was on your contact list for 2 years. You don't even know what their face looks like, but you just start building that relationship, and you'd be surprised where it takes you. I have a gentleman that started last year. I haven't talked to him since 2 years ago at an open house. I don't even know what the guy looks like, but through talking with him and just kind of what I like to call shooting the bull, just kind of talking to him and just letting him know I'm his guy. And it turns out now him and I are actively looking for properties in Carlton that he wants to purchase. I haven't found nothing yet, but just from me making those initial calls, those kind of the first 3 are the most awkward, because it's like, all right, now I didn't know the reason. And then the fourth one's like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? How's work going? Then you go through, like you said, work, family, job, and then or work, family, vacation, wherever you want to do. And then they hit you with the, oh, by the way, I have somebody I need you to help, or can you look up some property for me here? It's just a matter of making those calls and going through the motions. And the why is easy. I got a new business card, here I'd send someone a picture, or really anything to do with this business. Just you have to feel good about it.
That's it.
You go into it thinking that I'm just bothering somebody, you're going to bother them. If you go into it thinking that I'm helping them, or I really like talking to them, it's gonna come across. It's gonna be a lot more positive for you in the long run.
You just hit the key. Can't be about you.
Yeah.
It's got to be about them.
Yeah.
And the acronym that we use, one of two, many of you have it. Maybe this will be a reminder, but FORE, F-O-R-E, or Ford, F-O-R-D, family, occupation are the first two. For FORE, real estate. Family, occupation, real estate. Ford is where you're just, man, can you have a long conversation if you got to go all the way through this? Family, occupation, recreation, and what are their dreams? And when we hit dreams, that's when we want to be able to talk real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take and have a conversation with anybody. And if, as example, if, Liz is an old friend of mine, and I haven't talked to her for 5 years. Anybody got one of those? 10 years? They're right. Hey, it could be an old classmate. In my case, I don't know. It's a long time ago, 38 years or something like that. Longer. God, I'm getting old. Anyway, I can say, hey, Liz, it's Darwin. I know it's been a long time since we've talked. I just wanted to call and catch up and find out, man, what's going on in life? And you can even say, look, here's the truth, because this is a hesitation for a lot of people. You hesitate because you want to talk to them about real estate.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it is.
right?
Yeah.
And yet I'm going to talk to them about all this other stuff. Well, then actually call with wanting to catch up, knowing we're going to talk real estate and be truthful about it. So I could even say, hey, Liz, it's Darwin Conley. Yes, way back, class of 78. Listen, call for a couple of reasons. And you just addressed it. I am calling for a couple of reasons. First, I need to catch up. What's been going on? And let them talk and see where the conversation goes. And at some point you say, well, listen, the other reason I wanted to catch up is that I've started a new career. And I just want everybody I know, everybody that I have a relationship with, that I sell real estate now. And that they've got a friend in the business. How long have you lived in your house? Are you guys still, wow, and you get into all of that stuff and you investigate whether or not there's ever a possibility. And then you stay on top of it. Okay, that's the big key. Stay on top of it. Talk to people and run it from that direction. Guys, one of the other things that should be happening, I can tell a lot of things. Anybody seen one of these? Because I haven't seen them from everyone. All right. But here's what we do. We do a 1-week business plan, right? And the whole purpose of that is to be able to say to your mentor, to your manager, and to yourself, here's the plan for the next week. I'm going, and this, I'll share with one here. I don't know if this is anybody's, yeah. Andre, this is yours. Uh-oh, can I share it? Awesome. So, and this is really pretty awesome. Working 6 days. Is that good? Yeah, matter of fact, I would share with you, I'd love to see that you do 5.5, but if we've got big numbers, I may have to do 6 days. I may have to do 7 in the beginning. Live like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. But I would prefer, and I always guide everybody, 5.5 days. Done correctly, we're going to be great. So in 6 days, Andre's going to do 30 hours of prospecting. 6 days, 30 hours. That's 5 hours a day. Is that ideal? Is that lofty? I love it. Now you got to do it, right? But it's 5 hours a day. But here, Andre, I appreciate this, and everybody can learn from this. In 30 hours, total buyer-seller contact goal is only 20. You see the issue to that? We're getting less than 1 per hour. We're only talking to 1 per hour at best. So the reality should be, if I'm using a phone or if I'm even knocking on doors, I'm going to shoot for 5 per hour. So if Andre's doing 30 hours, how many contacts? 150. And if you got 150 in a week, but wait, that would be phenomenal. Okay. So I really do. I love the 6 days. I love the 30 hours, but the contact goal is I've got to swing it that differently. And again, it's the number of people I'm actually going to talk to. Shoot for 5 per hour on an average. Okay. And by the way, I love leads generated. I've got somebody who's thinking of moving, buying or selling, or doing both. 10, I love it. Because if I got 10 leads and those pile up, I'm going to be able to get a lot more contacts in a lot less time getting more appointments, because I'm building these leads that I'm then going to be following up with. So a lead is somebody who's thinking of buying or selling. Somebody who deserves to have your follow-up. And I hope everybody catches that. Somebody who's thinking of buying or selling who deserves your follow-up. There are people who are thinking of buying or selling but don't deserve your follow-up. We don't need to work with everybody. I'll be nice and call them a butthead. If you run into a butthead and you just can't work, don't. It ain't worth it. Find somebody else who will love you and wants to pay you. Face-to-face listing presentation. So I want this to be looked at this way. Listing presentation, a first-time buyer interview or a first-time seller interview. Everybody good with that? Total listing goal is obvious. Buyer controlled sale, obvious. And by the way, when you report your previous week activity, I really don't want to know showing appointments. I could care less, tell you the truth. Houses will sell houses. Get out of the way and let them do it. What we need is buyers and sellers signing contracts. So really, when you see listing and showing appointments, first time appointments with buyers, first time appointment with listings. That's what we really want to see. Listing taken, new pending, and closings all make sense. Questions that we may have, we'll wrap things up here. Any questions that you might have? Because we are going to start to change the format, but I needed today to get a little bit of an idea as to where we're at. Take yourself off mute, ask a question.
I have a question, but it's not about what we're talking about today. It's something a little bit different. Are you familiar with the RPR program?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't use it a lot, but let's see if we can help.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that it comes up with distressed properties in the area, right?
Okay.
But doesn't tell you what the distress is. So then would those be potential sellers to touch base with, because either they're back behind on taxes or behind on mortgage payments or whatever it may be, as an option for them to get out of that house? And so I was looking at that as a target point, but I wanted to talk to somebody who possibly uses the program to fill me in a little bit more on how to use that appropriately.
Yeah, I think just the key is understand what a distressed property is, and you pretty much defined it. I don't know.
So would we have to go through county records or something along those lines to find out what the distress may be, or just talk to that individual in person?
I'm either going to do this right here, Jason, or I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say, hi, my name is Jason. I'm a local realtor. Just wanted to stop out. Rumor has it that you might be interested in making a move.
Yeah. Okay.
Truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could even do this. I know there's a home coming on the market. I'm trying to find it. Is it you?
Yeah.
It works, right?
Sure.
Matter of fact, Andre, you talked about knocking on doors. I just gave you the script. Next time you knock on the door, don't be afraid to do this. Andre, by the way, was out and doing a specific buyer. At least I would hope it was a specific buyer. And I'll throw out what I mean by that in a second. But a great thing to do, find a neighborhood where you go, boy, I'd love to have a listing in here. Get out of the car and go knock on doors. And you simply do, hi, when's the last time you had a real estate agent knock on your door with a big smile on your face? And they're going to say, never. And you say, well, listen, I'm not trying to sell anything today, but I know there's a home that's coming on the market and I'm trying to find it. Is it you? And you do an open-handed point. And when they say, well, no, and they'll laugh a little bit more, or you turn, which one of your neighbors is it? And then watch them open the door and start pointing. You'd be surprised at how often that will happen. So it's a great one to be able to try. And so, Jason, either one of those approaches, we know, and I might even tell them truthfully. You say, well, listen, the reason I asked if it's you is because I was doing a little bit of research, and on a particular public list, it shows that you're in a distressed property situation. Normally, that's either we're behind on taxes or behind on payments. And I'm not real concerned about that, but I'm just wondering if I could help you make a move if that were necessary. Tell the truth. That's the way I
Yeah.
always put it. Tell the truth. And by the way, Andre, am I saying that right? Okay. And Andre, we talk about the specific buyer, and we'll wrap up because we could keep going. But we will change format in 2 weeks. But for Andre, specific buyer, tell them the buyer's name. Otherwise, you lose credibility. So if I was, well, here, everybody knows Zeke and Roxy Zukowicz. So I'm working for Zeke and Roxy Zukowicz. They've signed a buyer representation contract for me. It's the reason I'm spending time for them. Okay. If this doesn't make sense, you guys let me know later and we'll make sure that we talk about this, or go talk to your mentor, manager. They should understand what we're saying on this. But I go out and I knock on the door and I say, hi, my name's Darwin. I'm a local realtor. I happen to be working with a buyer. It's Zeke and Roxy Zukowicz. They're coming here from Tennessee. As you know, it's a very unique market and we haven't been able to find them a home, but your neighborhood is one that they'd specifically like to move into. So I'm just curious, who might be moving in your neighborhood? And what are they going to tell me? Well, gee, I can't think of anybody. Well, if you would, I'd love for you to be able to give me a call. Would you do that for me? Sure. Well, I'll leave you a card. But just out of curiosity, how about you? Have you given any thought to making a move? But the bottom line became it was Zeke and Roxy Zukowicz. That's why I'm out here. Now, knock on enough doors and you will get that. Okay? Don't be afraid to leave behind some kind of a flyer either. There's no problem with that. You might even have one that Zeke and Roxy approved that says, hi, we're Zeke and Roxy Zukowicz. We're coming from and we're looking for a 3-bedroom home in the Lake Oakland Woods subdivision. If you know of somebody or you would be thinking of moving, please contact our agent, Andre Kingston, and leave it behind. The key is it's very, very specific, what leads to the legitimacy of your contact. Okay, John, I think you had a question there. No, John? Okay, so guys, 2 weeks. What's our date for that? Anybody have it in front of them?
26.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
I'll tell you what, we'll come back 26th, 10 a.m., same place. Take that link that you had forwarded to you, copy that into your digital calendar, and everybody should be using a digital calendar. If you put that to your digital calendar, it will always be in there and it will give you the reminder that's coming up. And then you won't have to go, where the heck is that link? Okay, go ahead.
So I'm hosting an open house on Saturday, and I am curious if it would be something like just going door to door and saying, do I want to be open and say, hey, I'm hosting an open house. I'm curious if you know anyone that's looking for a home, or if you're looking to also sell. Like I haven't talked to anyone, so I'm really curious
No problem.
as to how a conversation
do exactly what you just said. Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm a local realtor. I've been employed to market the property down the road, or if it's not your listing, you're holding somebody else's. I'm going to be holding a home open down the road. Are you familiar with that? Well, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. They're asking only $350 for the home, but I'm holding it open and I'm just curious, who do you know? Okay. By the way, not do you know, who do you know that might be interested in moving into the neighborhood?
Okay.
Then you say, no, by the way, here's what we know from experience. This is going to generate a lot of activity and a lot of interest for your neighborhood. Have you guys given any thought of moving? Well, who do you know in the neighborhood that might be considering moving? Out of curiosity, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? Where'd you move from? If you happen to move, where would you go next? When do you think that would be? By the way, those are in the script book that you should receive on the flash drive. Okay?
Mhm.
And if you're going, what's a flash drive, you let me know. Above all else, make sure you're going through Speedboard and doing it day by day. And if you haven't got the one that says day 1, day 2, day 3, ask for your manager and start over again. It would be a great thing to do, and we'll make sure that you literally got everything completed. Okay. Guys, I always like to try to hold everything to a timely basis, and we've set an hour. We've had a couple, and I'm 9 minutes over. Any other questions? Spread the word if you got others that should be on this call, because they're not at the level that they should be as a mentee, quote unquote mentee. Bring them in. But bottom line, we got a few basic assignments. We put them into the chat there. Make sure you hit those, and then we'll see you on the 26th at 10 a.m. All right, guys. Thank you for coming in. I look forward to your production. See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Hey, John, I was just catching up through the chat session here. Saw your comment at last. I will post this so that you'll have it. So you can
Thank you.
watch this again. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. All
Appreciate
right.
it.
You got it. I'm going to end this now. So have a great one, and call if you have anything else, bud.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.